Hi, well here we have a lovely example of a Bentley Continental GT Speed, and this is how you were going to see the car whenever my Bentley and Rolls-Royce garage comes up into the current year's garage tour. But I had a request. Now, I'm afraid I'd never heard of Keyvany, or is it pronounced Keyvany? I don't know, I'm going to say Keyvany. I looked them up, and effectively they GTA Bentleys. So, you know the way that we may build a car a little over the top? Well, that's what they do. It's the sort of car I love to build in the game. Now, I know if I had this Continental GT for real, I'd leave it like this. In the game, it's so much more fun to build some of these slightly over the top real-world variants. So that's what we're going to do. But if you'd prefer a nice clean GT Speed, look at the parts we take off this car, because you can still reverse build that. So we sort of get two builds for the price of one. And as always, no discussion about the armour, bulletproof tyres, performance, etc. They're all up to you. The cars are bespoke, so you can go to the website really and pick the bits that suit you, but I'm going to mainly build the car on the bottom with the odd nod to the one on the top. The features I'm looking for then are that the inlet grills on the sides at the front have a big black piece round them, that we have a massive splitter, and of course some sort of canard. And as we go down, it's these race bumpers that become far the closest. It's just the canard is a little too distinct. There's a bit too much of it. It works better when you're building a GT4 race car, but more is really what you want when you're building a Keyvany car, not less. And it's the closest, so primary race bumper has gone onto the front. Of course, for the GT Speed it was simply left stock. On the back I have a primary rear panel for the GT Speed, but of course we're getting some more carbon in there when we build the Keyvany with the carbon rear bumper. Onto the exhaust then. I'm just running the stock exhaust here for the Continental GT, and after a lot of running up and down the list, which I'll delete, I actually ended up just leaving the stock exhaust on for the Keyvany, thinking it probably worked the best. Moving on then to the front grille. The stock grille is how I had it for the Continental GT Speed. Looking down at the options, most of them you can see don't work, so it remains stock for the Keyvany car. On then to the hood, which is stock if you're building the Conti GT Speed. For the Keyvany car, the first one that jumped out at me was carbon vented hood having twin grills and a bit of a shape. The grills aren't the right grills or in the right place, and nor is the shape, but it's close. Now I also like the full carbon race hood. The shapes in a way are better, but of course we've got these, the catches. We don't want catches really, that would be wrong. So in the end, carbon vented hood I think is the best one for this car. We're not doing liveries or anything, so we're straight down to respray. It's a bespoke car, so you can really do whatever sort of Bentley colour you fancy. Look on the internet for inspiration, but on the screen now is the colour that I used to paint the Continental GT Speed. The Formula Red, Candy Red Pearl, but now we have to find this sort of nice dark red colour. So flipping on through, we arrive at Cabernet Red. Now Cabernet Red has a really funny sort of pearl as standard, and whenever you look at the colour on the car it looks a bit gross. But have the courage, select Cabernet Red and then go for a different pearl, and you'll find it's actually a really nice colour. So just a little bit of playing with the pearlescence here, trying to get as close as we can to the Keyvany car. I chopped a bit out, but I went with Blaze Red in the end as the colour I thought worked the best, but I think there's a few others that would work quite nicely as well. The mirrors on this car take the secondary colour, so it's very important we match that as well, and as an aside it also goes onto the stitching. So we're taking off the Formula Red, adding the Cabernet Red. Trim colour, well, I haven't got good internal photos of the cars we're looking at, and I really think therefore it's up to you. What do you think was on the inside of that car? What would you like on your Keyvany? I just flipped through a few things till I found a colour I thought looked nice, which was that stone silver. There's no roll cage on the car, of course, on either car, and both cars use the stock roof. On the skirts, well again it's the same for both cars. We're using the carbon skirts as being the closest look. Onto spoiler, and it's very simple. The car already has that kicked back piece at the rear, the small spoiler, as stock. So it's simply none, and that's for both the Keyvany and the Continental GT Speed. Neither car has a sun strip. It's very good though when you're building the race cars. For suspension, we have lowered suspension for the GT Speed. I think street or sport would work for the Keyvany. Sport might be a bit low, but I think it suits the car more, so sport suspension. Then on down to the wheels. For the GT Speed, in the high-end chrome wheel, we have Obey RS, and I think that looks pretty good for that car. And for the Keyvany, I'm more interested in the shiny wheels at the bottom, but obviously you could go for something black as well. And it took a little while to find something that's really going to work, so we'll just skip to the chase. So into SUV wheels of all things, chrome rims, and noting on the way that there's also Obey RS here, and I don't know which is the cheapest. But then to Extravaganzo, which certainly are extravagant at $78,000, but they seem to me to be the closest we're going to get to the wheel on the Keyvany, so if we're spending, we're spending. That's really it. Of course, never forget your bulletproof tyres, even if you're doing anything else. And you barely need smoked windows, but I just went for a light smoke on either car. I just think that looks more in keeping. So there you are, that is finished. Let's get it out into the sunshine. Well, I rather like the look of this. I think it's turned out well. I mean, it wasn't what I was going for in the garage, but when you do see that garage, this will be the car that you see again. I do like the colour, I like the wheels, and even the fact the canards are now a bit too big hasn't really put me off. I do think we've hit this bespoke car. I'd like to know down below what you think. To me, Keyvany is a little bit like Mansory, in that to an extent it's really fun for this game, but in reality ruining some perfectly nice cars. But anyway, thank you Mark very much for the suggestion, because I hadn't even heard of the company, so it's been really fun to build this. Hope you enjoyed. Of course, if you liked it, like it. If you like real cars in GTA, subscribe. And above all, and as always, thank you so much for watching.